Welcome to our Designing an Attitude of Gratitude live stream. In this session, I'm so excited to have Cassie Bever. She is from North Montgomery High School, and she's been doing a lot of really cool work with mindful movement and breath in the classroom, bringing in some of that high quality centering and self-care and the work we know needs to be done. Cassie, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're also very thankful that the holiday is coming up, giving us a little break. Are you looking forward to any particular kind of food for Thanksgiving?
Leftovers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What do you do with your leftovers?
I like to pile them on a crescent roll and roll them up and bake them and then dip them in gravy.
Oh, stop it. That sounds delicious. Now I'm starving, and that's all I'm wanting is Friday afternoon. I'm making the Cassie special, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. All right. Well, I'm going to give you the floor here. Bring up your screen, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you again for this opportunity to share some of the things that I'm doing in the classroom and to share Breathe for Change with you all, which is a program I am grateful for as well. So, you know, as previously mentioned, I'm a high school English teacher. I'm also an ELA instructional coach at North Montgomery High School. I've been in the district about 10 years. And more recently, I am a Breathe for Change graduate. And by recent, I mean I graduated this past Sunday with about 250 other graduates. And Breathe for Change is it's a company, continuing education credits. They offer graduate credits, and it's a 200-hour yoga teacher training program that teaches trauma-informed yoga specifically for educators. There's also social emotional learning facilitator certification that comes with that as well. So a lot of people ask me, well, what's trauma-informed yoga? So when someone experienced trauma in their life, whether it's physical trauma from an injury or it's psychological trauma from, let's say, PTSD or anxiety, they didn't really have a choice in that trauma. They didn't have a say in that trauma. So what trauma-informed yoga does is it offers choice, and it uses invitational language to give people options in a yoga class. And we do lots of modifications. We really try to normalize props as a part of the yoga practice. And yoga for a lot of people is very intimidating. And the truth of the matter is that yoga is for everybody, and it looks different in every body. So for some people, using props isn't necessarily a weakness. It's what they need for their body in that moment to enhance their yoga practice. So it really makes yoga accessible. And we're kind of trained to teach all different levels in the classroom, from elementary, middle, high school, to even staff and adults. So it's that part of the program is amazing. The social emotional learning certification allows you to create social emotional learning workshops and run workshops for your students or your staff. And that's really sort of the element that I'm going to be sharing with you all today, is the social emotional learning side of Breathe for Change. So Breathe for Change has a lead with love values, and one of their values is to breathe for gratitude. So they state, we give and receive acknowledgement and actively show our appreciation for the incredible gift of being alive. So gratitude is really sort of woven into the Breathe for Change curriculum. So it was kind of perfect for this presentation today. Some of the benefits of gratitude practices in the classroom sort of include the following that Breathe for Change really highlights. It improves your social, emotional, mental, and physical well-being. It can even enhance your sleep quality. It can increase empathy and self-esteem, which is huge for my high schoolers. And there's just a ton of research out there to back these claims. I'll mention a couple here. We have the Harvard Medical School in praise of gratitude, and Forbes 7 scientifically proven benefits of gratitude. So the research is out there, and these are really great skills to teach our students about. One thing I'll note quickly before we go into some of these practices is that all of these things that I'm going to share with you today can be used in a classroom during brain breaks, focused attention practices, during icebreakers, before a final exam or a test, or even at the start of class. when you sense that your students are having an off day. I mean, you know your students. You can tell when you walk into a classroom and you're like, hey, how's everybody doing? What's going on? Are we in a funk today? And you can just take a minute to do one of these activities to sort of just help the students reset their mind and prepare for learning. So the first activity I want to share with you all is one I'm just going to talk about. It's called a Giving Gratitude activity. It's a community circle activity, cultivating gratitude. It deepens relationships and it develops confidence. It's inherently a kinesthetic activity, so students will be up, out of their seats, moving around. This is really for secondary level, middle or high school, but you could probably do this at an elementary level with some of the older kids. And you definitely want to do it with a group of students who know each other, who have been together for a period of time. So how this activity works is you provide a Post-it note or maybe a note card for the students. You have them settle in, and then you have them just write their name at the top of the note card. Then you give them the instructions. They're going to go around the room, go into other people's spaces, and write on their note cards something that they love about that person, something they like about that person, something that person did that made you happy recently, and any sort of appreciation. And you might want to even encourage the students to write something on someone's Post-it note, someone that they're maybe not super close with, or maybe somebody they're not friends with, because everybody brings something to the table. Can you show appreciation for somebody that maybe you're not best friends with? What do they bring to class that you truly appreciate, right? You also kind of want to keep an eye out for any students who have not as many comments as some of the other kids, and make sure that you're circling around and writing down on students who maybe don't have a lot of comments, so everybody gets some good feedback. You might want to set a timer for this activity, a couple minutes, depending on how large the group is, and then have the students head back to their desk, read the comments that were written about them, and just do a 1 to 2 word check-in. Say, how do you feel when you read those comments about yourself? When someone says, hey, you have a great sense of humor, or you're really caring, or you're really helpful, how does that make you feel? Keep in mind that you may get some resistance to this. Some students are really uncomfortable with compliments, right? If a student writes down, I think you're beautiful, right? And I'm thinking of some of my students, they might have a negative reaction to that and say, oh, I'm not beautiful, I'm ugly, this is totally wrong. And that's okay. You want to kind of validate the way that they're feeling, but even just for them to hear that someone thinks they're beautiful is meaningful, even if they initially reject that information up front. So just note that some people might have different reactions to this activity. You could definitely set ground rules for, appropriateness. Make sure your comments are positive. Make sure that you are writing appropriate things. Again, I'm thinking about some of my high schoolers. So this is a really great activity, especially if you want to reset some classroom culture and develop some relationships. The next activity I want to talk about is flower breathing, which is one of my favorite. So it's breath awareness. And it calms the mind, regulates the body, and builds community. Now, this is definitely an activity for elementary, right, primary school, but you can do this in middle school for sure. And I love to do this as an adult. So I think it can be adapted to work with really any age group. So we're going to do this one together. I'm going to have you all just sort of settle in. If you'd like to, I'm going to scoot back a little bit here. I want you to just ground down through your sits bones here. Roll your shoulder blades back, track them down your spine here, and find just a little bit of length through the crown of your head. And now I want you to take your hands out in front of you. You're going to take your wrists and put them together and touch your pinkies and your thumbs together and spread those 3 middle fingers out wide. Now you have created your flower. So I want you to look down into the center of your flower, and I want you to just imagine maybe what color your flower is. Is it green? Is it red? Maybe it's leopard print. Maybe it's black with silver tips. Maybe you want to count the petals on your flower. Maybe you want to think about how your flower smells, right? Maybe it smells like a delicious cup of coffee you had this morning. And we're going to take a deep inhale here. And we're going to reach our flower up and spread those petals wide to the sky. And we're going to exhale and close that flower down. Now I'm going to have you open that flower one more time. I'm going to have you look into the center of that flower. And I want you to think of a person or a thing that you're grateful for, maybe even a place. And I want you to picture that thing that you're grateful for, that person in the center of your flower. Now we're going to take another inhale, just like we did. We're going to inhale, reach that flower up, lifting up what you're grateful for. And we're going to exhale, closing that flower around whatever you're grateful for as you breathe out a silent thank you. Let's do that a few more times. Take a deep inhale, reaching that arms up, lifting up what you're grateful for, exhaling, closing that flower around your person or thing. And we'll do that one more time. Take a deep inhale, reaching up, feeling that stretch in your shoulders and your arms, and exhaling, closing that flower, holding tightly onto that gratitude, breathing out that silent thank you. Now you can also make this a community activity. If you're in person, you can circle up and you can connect your flowers from person to person, where you connect your wrist, your thumb, and your pinky to the person next to you. You come up with something that the group is maybe grateful for together, and you do that breathing, you know, opening your flower up on the inhale and exhaling, closing the flower down. You create this community garden together. And it's just a really great breathing activity to do with little kids. I do it with my daughter all the time. After you're done with this breathing activity, you really want to do, again, a 2-word check-in here. How are you feeling after that activity? Are you feeling calm? Are you feeling energized? And just allow students to share things out. You can have them write down their reactions on a Post-it note and turn it in. But you definitely want them to reflect on how they're feeling after the fact. All right, so on to the last activity we're going to do together. I'll mention a couple more at the end. This is sort of a guided meditation. It's called Thankful Thoughts. It's a focus activity. Really cultivates gratitude, calms the mind, and relaxes the body. So you can really do this with any age group, and I have a little English twist to it because I do nouns, a person, place, or thing with this. And really you want to have the students settle in. I'll have you just find a comfortable seat right now. You can have the students lie down. You can have them rest their head on their desks. Just know that sometimes students might fall asleep during these activities, and that's okay. That just means that they're sleep deprived and they probably need to sleep. If you want to keep them awake, you might want them in a seated position. But for our purposes, we'll go ahead and just have a seat and ground down again through our sits bones here. Let's roll those shoulder blades back, finding that length in the spine again. Maybe you want to give your shoulders just a little bit of a shoulder rub here if you're feeling a little tense. And you can rest your hands on your lap, palms facing down, palms facing up. Maybe you want to rest your hands at your heart center, or you can rest them on your desk. And take a minute to lower your gaze, finding a focal point on the floor below you. Or if you're comfortable, you're welcome to close your eyes. And take a minute to just connect with your breath. Just notice it, don't force it. Maybe you feel your breath deep in your belly. Maybe you're feeling a little stressed and you can feel that breath tighten your chest and you need to deepen it a little bit. Maybe you feel it on the tip of your nose, coming in and out of your nostrils, and you feel that cool air as it goes in and out of your nose. And as you continue to breathe, I want you to bring to mind something that you're grateful for, something tangible that you can hold on to. Maybe it's a thank you card that somebody gave to you, or a necklace that's a family heirloom, or maybe your favorite cup of coffee that wakes you up in the morning that you had today. Think of a thing or an object that you're grateful for. We'll take one deep inhale here in, visualizing yourself holding on to that thing that brings you joy, and exhale out a silent thank you. Now continue to breathe and visualize a place in your life that you are grateful for, a place where you feel safe, where you feel comfortable. Maybe that's your favorite lazy boy, where you sit down and watch Sunday afternoon football. Maybe it's the hiking trails by your house where you take your dog for a walk. Maybe it's your bed where you like to read at night with your comfortable new sheets. So think about that place and visualize yourself in that place. Take a deep inhale, imagining that you're standing in that place smiling, and exhale out that silent thank you. Now we'll do this one more time, and I want you to visualize a person in your life that you are grateful for. This could be a mentor that guided you, maybe a stranger that was kind to you when you really needed it. Could be a loved one that's always there for you, or maybe a reliable student that always turns in their assignment on time and to the right assignment online. So visualize yourself standing in front of that person. Take a deep inhale in. As you imagine them standing there smiling and you are smiling back, and exhale that silent thank you. Now we'll close with one more collective breath here, and we'll wake up our bodies with just one little bit of an arm stretch. So we'll take a deep inhale, raising our arms up overhead, stretch those arms up, touch your palms together, and exhale, bringing your hands down to your heart. Start to wake yourself up a little bit. This would be where you maybe do a 2-word check-in and see how you feel. I want to note too that when you do these activities with students, sometimes some things can come up that might make students a little emotional. I'm thinking about some of my students in particular. When you think about a safe place, for some students, their safe place is school. They don't feel very safe at home, so that can bring up some difficult issues for them. But try to give them some suggestions and some options to help them be creative, to tap into that gratitude. Couple other things I wanted to mention that we just don't have time to go over that kind of tie into gratitude. They're readily available online. One Google search and you'll be able to find a ton of resources. Loving kindness meditation is really great. This is a little bit different, but essentially it's kind of similar to the last activity we did, where you think about yourself and send yourself some love and kindness. So you do a little bit of self-love. You show gratitude for yourself. Then you think about a loved one and you send them love and kindness. Again, you're accessing some gratitude for that person. But the most powerful part of this meditation is you're sending love and kindness to a third person, someone who you maybe have conflict with, someone who maybe you don't like that much or you don't get along with. And the act of sending them love and kindness is really, really powerful. So there's some interesting connections to gratitude with that practice. There's a body scan where again, lots of resources online where you're focusing on different parts of your body and you're, being grateful, showing gratitude for your able bodies and what they're capable of. I know with my high school, there's lots of body shaming and lots of students say, I hate the way I look, and they think that they're not beautiful. Doing a body scan can really help you kind of embrace the gratitude that you have for our able bodies and what they're capable of, because our bodies are amazing things. And the last thing is a gratitude challenge. So this is the most effective when you have students actually show their gratitude to somebody face to face. So writing gratitude letters to somebody, videoing themselves saying, hey, I'm grateful for you, or reading that letter out loud to that person. I've had students cook meals for their parents or their grandparents to say thank you for, supporting them. I've had students drop off cake pops or brownies or cookies to the local police station, the fire department, or the local hospital. And it's really effective when students actually act out their gratitude through acts of kindness. You can offer credit for that. It loses a little bit of its meaning. I try to only offer extra credit for those who need it, and it's a really cool way for students to kind of engage with their community. It's also really nice to kind of display some of those acts of kindness somewhere in the building as well, so people can see what students are doing with that gratitude challenge. A few things I wanted to note here at the end too. A lot of these activities in class can help build self-confidence and self-love, which can directly relate to the student's success in the classroom. If they feel good about themselves, if they feel that, self-love, they think that their, life has meaning, and it can really help them just intrinsically motivate them in the classroom. And just know that you can tailor these activities to whatever group you're working with. A body scan might be exactly what a bunch of stressed out juniors need right before they take the SATs, whereas like the flower breathing might be really helpful with a group of rambunctious elementary school kids who have a hard time just sort of settling in before they do reading time or before they get into a lesson. So I just wanted to say thank you again for this amazing opportunity. And if anybody has any questions about Breathe for Change, please feel free to reach out on Twitter. I'm happy to give you any information if you're interested in the program.
Cassie, thank you so much. This was so great. And I was stretching and being grateful, and I just appreciated it. And some of the comments were really neat that, we love yoga, but we don't do it enough. And those strategies, I thought well, I don't need to make special time to be able to do some of these connected activities. So it really is so applicable. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we appreciate your opening the door to these resources. How did you get involved with Breathe for Change?
I saw it advertised on Facebook, oddly enough. And I had, at the beginning of the year, I had hired a personal trainer to try to get out of my COVID funk. And she sort of inspired me to seek out a yoga teacher training program. And it's geared towards educators, administrators were in the class, counselors. We had social workers, athletic trainers. I mean, it was majority were school teachers. So it was any leader in the community can take Breathe for Change, and it is just life-changing.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing your passion with us. And we are just thrilled to have you as part of our in-learning partnership, Attitude of Gratitude live stream. And those of you watching, come right back. We've got Chris Young from Southern Hancock Schools talking about tech tips he's thankful for. I know he's always a lot of fun, and we could always use a little reinvigoration with our technology. So from breath to typing, here we go. We're grateful for it all. Thanks again, Cassie.
Thank you so much.